In this video, I will be showing you how I made a rocking chair out of baseball bats. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started. I start off by cutting out 12 boards which will be used to make the seat and the headrest. Once they are cut out, the boards will measure 5.5 by 3/4 inches by 2 feet. The first 4 boards will make the bottom of the seat. Laying them out so that the 2-foot sides are parallel, I drill 3 pocket screws into each board using a Kreg jig. As I screw it together, I use wood glue to ensure a strong bond, and clamps so that the boards lie flat as they dry. To make the top of the seat, I start at the table saw by cutting one of the 2-foot boards from 5.5 inches down to 2 inches. This new 2-inch strip, along with 4 more full-size 2-foot boards, are glued together onto the bottom of the seat. To ensure that the seat is symmetrical, the 2-inch strip is in the middle, with 2 full boards on either side of it. For strength, the boards on the bottom of the seat run perpendicular to the ones on top. Again, I clamp and weigh down the boards to make sure there are no gaps in the seat when it dries. Once the seat has dried, I take my seat stencil and trace it onto the bottom. Using the bandsaw and belt sander, I cut and sand the seat down to the lines. To make the headrest, I take the last 3 remaining boards and glue them together into a short stack. The dried boards are then stenciled and cut out with the bandsaw. The headrest now has its shape, but does not have any curve. I trace its curve using a second stencil and cut it out again using the bandsaw. I then use the belt sander and electric sander to clean up imperfections and bevel the edges. To make the rockers, I trace my stencil twice onto a 1-inch thick pine board and cut them both out using the bandsaw. Next, I clamp the 2 rockers together and sand them so that they're exactly the same size. Next, I work on the outside back support bats, which are held in place by dowels. First, I secure the bat in my jig and drill into the end of the barrel until I have a 1-inch wide, 3 to 4 inch long tunnel. Because the bats are made out of such hard wood, I start with small bits and work my way up to 1 inch. Second, I use the table saw to cut a 75-degree angle off the end of the barrel. I use the stencil to lay out the location of the holes, and I drill a 75-degree angle into the seat in the direction prescribed by the stencil. The 2 back support bats should be leaning away from the front of the chair, but also slightly out to their side. These holes should be drilled all the way through the seat. I finally glue in a piece of dowel into the end of the bat. There should be enough excess dowel to completely fit through the hole in the seat. This entire process is done twice, once for each side. I used the table saw to cut a 9-inch piece at 82 degrees off the handle of a bat. Next, using the drill press, I drill a 1/2-inch hole about 2 inches deep into the cut-off end of the handle. I glue pieces of 1/2-inch dowel into the end of each bat so that there's enough excess dowel to fit through the seat. To drill the armrest holes, I used a stencil for reference and drill a 1/2-inch hole at 82 degrees all the way through the seat. On the table saw, I cut 11 inches off the barrel end of 4 bats. These are cut at a 75-degree angle and will eventually become the legs of the chair. I drill a 1-inch wide, 3 to 4 inch deep hole into the cut-off end of all 4 bats. Because the wood is so hard, I again start with small drill bits and work my way up to 1 inch. Then I glue pieces of 1-inch dowel into the holes in the bats, with enough extra to fit into the holes in the seat. Following the location and angles on the stencil, I drilled 4 holes on the bottom side of the seat. They are drilled at 75 degrees, and they only go about halfway through the seat. At this point, I glue the 2 outside back supports into their holes in the back of the seat. I use 3/4 inch HW conduit straps to screw the headrest to the 2 back supports. I used a bandsaw to cut notches into the barrels of 3 bats. These notches are 1 inch deep and are as wide as half of the bat. The notch is at an angle so that the handle of the bat touches the back of the headrest. Then the handles are shaved down and cut off so that they don't stick out above the headrest. These 3 bats are screwed into the seat and the headrest. One goes in the middle of the seat, and the other 2 are evenly spaced on each side. I used a bandsaw to cut 1-inch deep channels into the end of the barrels of the 4 legs. These channels are as wide as the widths of the rockers, and are cut so that the rockers slide in at the correct angle when the legs are in place. To put it all in place, I first glue the legs into their holes, and then the rockers into their channels. Finally, I screw in a 2-inch corner brace on each leg to ensure that they don't move. On the drill press, I use a hole saw to drill out 2 ends of a piece of bat that will be screwed in between the front legs of the chair. I use a 64mm or 2.5-inch hole saw because it matches the diameter of the front legs. Once it is cut out, I glue and screw it in. I glue the armrest upright pieces into their holes, and head to the drill press to make the top of the armrests. I use a 51mm or 2-inch hole saw, which again matches the diameter of the back support pad. and cut out 15 inches off the end of the bat using the drill press. This hole is drilled at a slight angle to account for the angle at which the back support bats lean. The armrests are then screwed and glued both down onto the uprights and into the back supports. To finish off the chair, I coat all of the wood surfaces with an interior semi-gloss varathane polyurethane. Thanks for watching. For more information about the build, please check the construction plans in the description. And please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed this video.